Hey everyone, it's time for the theme song.
Discover and play and learn and grow with the people we love and the places we know. Shining light wherever we go. It's the Spectacular Summer Show with Miss Hannah.
Hi friends, welcome back to the Spectacular Summer Show. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're back to watch again, then I'm glad to see you too. Last week we talked about nature and how God created a beautiful world for us, but He has entrusted it to us to take care of. And I gave you a challenge to do something with food to help someone else. Maybe you planted a garden, or maybe you already have a garden at your house. You know, a garden is a way that we can grow food for ourselves. Or maybe you raise animals for the meat. Or do any of you like to cook with your family to make meals, or do cooking for 4-H?
Did you say a meal?
A
meal would make me so happy I could squeal.
Oh, it's my friend, the cat in the hat.
I'm so
welcome.
hungry.
You're-
So hungry am I. I could eat a whole piece of pie.
Oh, well, I do like pie. What are you doing here?
Oh, I've just been so hungry. I was outside looking at the sky. I was looking at the cotton candy clouds that look so sweet and wondering if they were something that I could eat.
Oh, well, I don't actually have anything for you to eat here.
Oh.
Today our show's all about cooking and food.
Ooh, food is so good.
Yes, and actually we're getting ready to go to the market.
Uh-oh, the market is a very fun time. Although I think they kicked me out last time because I was a pantomime.
Oh, well, actually, I'm pretty sure that we can't have a cat in the market.
Oh,
So I don't think you'll be able to go with us. But maybe we can find you something to eat while we're there and bring it back for you as a treat.
that would be so sweet.
All right. Well, I'm excited for our food adventure. How about you? Let's go. Hey friends, so we are outside of Myers Market and we're gonna get to go inside and get behind the case and check out a few cool things there. So let's go inside and check it out. All right, well friends, we are inside Myers Market with the owner of Myers Market, Mitch Myers. And so thank you so much for letting
You're
us be
welcome.
here today. I'm behind the case, so I'm in the forbidden zone. It's exciting. So Mitch, what made you want to open this market?
It was basically a dream from college, basically based off of just a butcher shop and the feel that it gives in the community.
Yeah. So you're not going to show us how to butcher an animal, which
Right.
you kind of wanted to, but I said maybe we shouldn't do that for this. But instead, I know that I personally love to come here for your fried chicken salad, which you're very famous for. So I was hoping maybe you could show us how you make that.
Of course.
All right.
Right. Start by gloving up here.
Yes. Safety first.
Yes.
And you normally have a mask on right now too, but
Yes.
for today, so you can see his face, he's not wearing a mask.
Yeah. All right. What we use is just a fried chicken. It's actually a deli meat, so it's
Okay.
already all pre-cooked. Get it opened up. All right, then we'll put it here on the slicer and get it opened up real good so we can just slice through it and then crumble it up.
That is a very sharp slicer, I'm
Yes.
assuming, so.
Get all the crumbs out of here in the bowl, and then one of the fun parts.
Ooh, you just get to play with
Get
the food.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love playing with food? So smashing it all up so they're like little bits of chicken.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. So I know you've been really busy during the COVID-19. People are driving from far distances to come.
Yes, we have. We have been very busy. All right.
Well, it's good
And
to have
then-
local businesses being supported.
And then we add dried cranberries and cashews,
Yes.
and then our mayonnaise to hold it all together. Okay.
Oh,
And
no
then-
spoons, just
Nope.
fingers. Look at that. More playing with the food.
So we just make sure we get it all mixed up and everything combined.
Yeah. Sometimes you can mix better with your hands than you can
Oh yeah.
with a spoon.
There's a lot of things in food that you need to mix with your hands to get a feel for. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And we got it good and mixed up there. And it's ready.
And it's ready just like that.
It is ready.
Ooh. I've been handed a fork. Does that mean I
Yep,
get to try it?
You get to try it.
Yes. All right. Oh. Don't want to get plastic in there. Make sure I get some yummy things. So good. 2 thumbs up. Well, so I know you get your meat from a lot of local sources. Is that
We use a lot of Midwestern, a lot of pork out of northern Indiana, a processing plant up there. And we use some local farmers occasionally for some different things as well. Chickens, pigs, lambs, and a little bit of beef as well. So
and you do butchering here?
we do, yeah, we do all cutting here,
Cutting, yeah, okay.
on site. So we don't take any live animals,
Right.
but we take all the meat and then cut it down into the pieces that we sell.
Well, I know you've got the window. I know sometimes when I've been in here, I can watch them in there
Yep,
cooking,
yep.
not cooking, cutting, cutting up the meat. So that's very cool.
Yep.
And we can come here. You can get a deli sandwich, or of course the chicken sandwich, fried chicken salad sandwich. I always like mine in a wrap, but on the wheat berry bread is also really
Yep.
good. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. This was delicious, and let's get back. Ready?
We are downstairs in the church kitchen, and this is Corinne Silver. If you've been at Camp Discovery, you know her as the cake lady. She's been in charge of cooking for Camp Discovery the last 2 years. So Corinne, tell us what your job is, because that's why you're an expert and why I have you here today.
I have since learned at work I'm a professional because I am paid to do what I do. So I now will use professional title, but I am a baker.
I'm a professional too.
There you go. Yes, that's what my boss told me, so I'm sticking with it. But I am one of the head bakers at Bon Appetit at DePaul. So I help make all of the delicious sweets and breads and everything that you could think of that a baker would do for the students at DePaul.
And so you're going to teach us today how to make something yummy from scratch.
Yes.
Not from a box, from
Correct,
scratch.
like completely from scratch. And it's easier than you think, and it's bread.
Bread, I love
It's just,
bread.
white sandwich bread, you can use it whenever. You can also do a wheat version, but I thought white would be a little more appealing because I like it.
Yes. All right, well, let's dig in.
Okay, so in my big bowl here, I have 2 cups of hot water from the tap. I've let it set for a little bit because the tap water comes out sometimes a little warmer than 110. You want it right around 110. Don't measure it, just feel with your hands. If you can stick your finger in it without burning, then you're fine. So to this, we need to dissolve our sugar, and that is
Sugar.
our 2/3 cup, I believe. Yes.
Sugar.
All the way to the top. Hannah's gonna assist me since
I'll be the assistant.
I don't have to do that.
I'm like your
myself.
sous chef.
And also, we are doing all of this by hand today and not using a mixer. I want you to know that it's not scary to do it by hand. And also, you can make bread without a mixer. And I actually have, I can show you bread that was made with a mixer. It's not always better. Yep, just dump it right on in.
Okay.
And so we're going to dissolve our sugar in here because when you make bread, at least non-sour breads, you use yeast. It's active dry yeast. Don't mind the coffee cup.
Active.
It stays in the freezer or the fridge, so we need to activate it with our warm water. So we need to warm it back up, and the sugar helps feed it and is what makes it do its job. Kind of like when we eat sugar.
Right.
We get to be all nice and crazy.
So what happens if we use lazy dry yeast instead of active?
There are different types of yeast, and there are different methods for how you do them. Honestly, I only use the blooming active dry yeast kind because at work we buy one kind of yeast, so we kind of like make it's kind of like at home.
Yeah.
You make what you have work for you. So for our yeast, I believe it's 1.5 tablespoons. Can you do a half of this?
A half? Sure.
And then 1 whole one.
Okay.
And this is, I will show you, you'll see it kind of looks like little pebbles at the beginning. Perfect, and it just kind of floats on top, and we'll mix it up just a little bit.
Is that a good half?
Yeah, that's perfect. And when you do the half, it's okay to do a little bit more. If you don't, I don't have a half tablespoon measurement at home, I just have a tablespoon. So we're just gonna give this a little stir, and it smells delicious.
It smells yeasty.
It does, it smells like rolls. That's how you know you got the right thing in there, when it smells yeasty, which is just like a dinner roll for those that don't know what I'm talking about. And we've got little chunks in here. I'm kind of stirring it a little vigorously. That's why I got a bigger bowl here, just to kind of, and now we're gonna leave it alone and talk for a minute because this needs to do its thing. It's called blooming, and all you're doing is waiting for it to turn creamy and foamy.
Oh,
That's what blooming needs, and it's already starting to do some things. Do you see
I
the
do.
creaminess underneath?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. I don't know. It's science. I can't explain the science of yeast because it's an alive thing, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah. So Jesus fed a group of people
Yes.
in the New Testament with
Yes.
bread.
With bread.
And fish. In fact, in our Big God story a few weeks ago, we actually learned about this lesson, and we had a little song. 2 fish, all he had was 5 loaves and 2 fish. 2 fish, 5 loaves of bread and 2 stinky old fish.
I
But
missed that.
you did, apparently. You can go back and watch it.
Yes.
But I just was wondering, how many loaves of bread do you think you would have to make to feed 5,000 people?
Okay, well, I actually know this answer
Ooh.
because at work we do caterings for hundreds and a few thousands sometimes. It's very rare. It's usually a graduation, alumni, so it's only a couple times a year. But if I was making, like, say, a sandwich for somebody, that's 2 pieces of bread per person, unless they're getting a half, and then that's 4 pieces, or 2 pieces of bread for 4 people, or 2 people. So, the loaf that we are making, this is the loaf pan. You can get a larger size, you're just gonna double up your batch. Like what we're making is making 2 loaves. If you get a larger pan, it's 1 loaf. So this, I usually only get maybe 6 sandwiches out of. So if you divide 5,000 by 6,
Do the math.
it's a lot. I don't have the exact number in my head. So it's hundreds of loaves. Now our yeast is bloomed, and see how we have a little creamy foaminess on top?
I
It's
do.
kinda- and
It
here-
looks very different than it
It
did
does,
before.
and if we move it, you'll see that it's creamy underneath too.
Mhm.
So now we are going to continue to feed our yeast. We're gonna add our oil first because salt kills yeast. So we have to add the fat before the salt.
Ooh.
And I overfilled it, I'm so sorry.
I made it.
See, I'm a very messy baker, so that's
That's why we're
par
wearing
for
aprons.
course, yes. If you don't mind getting flour on your clothes, it's just gonna be flour, honestly. And now we can add our salt.
Okay.
And now, so I need to talk about our fingernails a little bit. So if you've been in my class before, you know that I tell you to wash your hands all the time. Like that's the #1 thing that I have you do. Here's why. So I'm going to be doing, from this point on, I'm going to put this away, and everything else I'm doing is with my hands. Everything that is on here, underneath, in here, in the crevices is going to now be in the dough. So if you're making bread, clean under your nails. Cut your nails off if you need to. Mine look long because I have them painted, but they're actually really short. But make sure that each little, and I kind of do a little motion like this. When I'm washing my hands, they have tools to clean.
I use my other fingernail to go.
Or that,
under.
yes. I mean, use a pistachio shell if you must.
A pistachio shell.
I watched my daughter was doing. I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm cleaning my nails." I was like, "Ew." So I was like, "Go wash your hands." So now we need about 6 cups of bread flour. This is self-rising flour. We're going to use this instead. Self-rising flour is it has a little bit of baking powder, baking soda in it. Since
Using that for this.
yes, 6 of these, but we'll do one at a time.
Okay.
And I'll talk while we're doing this. So at work we use a bread flour. Bread flour is just something that is higher gluten, and gluten is what makes the bread springy, bouncy, delicious, and it's also what a bunch of folks are allergic to. So we do 1 cup at a time and we incorporate as we go. So since I have Hannah as a helper, I don't have to keep a clean hand, but I'm going to because it's what I'm used to doing, because I'll do this is what I do. And so it's a messy process. It's gross. Yeah, you can do 2 more actually. And this is about 6 cups of flour, and you'll notice a lot of bread recipes say about. Why do you think that is?
Because you need to, so we went to Myers Market before this, and Mitch was mixing the chicken salad, and he's like, you need your fingers so you can feel how it's coming together and how it mixes, rather than just using a spoon. So
yes.
Is it the same sort of thing?
It is, but also that's a very good point. There are those of my coworkers, you can do 1 more, that like to wear a pair of gloves for this process because it is easier to clean your hands. But you'll see miraculously this bread dough will pull all of this gunk off my hand too. And that's when we know it's starting to come together. But I do like to do it barehanded, especially since I know that somebody's not going to eat this directly right away. It's going to go in the oven and bake for longer. 1 more, I think, might do it. Okay. But the about in a bread recipe, or in a quick bread recipe, which is muffins or zucchini bread, it means do 1 cup at a time, because maybe today you'll need 5 cups, tomorrow you'll need 6. It depends on the humidity level in this kitchen. Yeah, 1 more. And today we needed exactly 6 because it's a little bit more humid in here today.
This is actually 5.
This is 5? Oh,
This will be 5. Yeah.
See, you know what? Maybe I don't always put 6 in because I lose count too. Perfect. And this is where the flour starts flying a little bit more. I'll probably get my second hand in here. Okay, Miss Hannah.
Yes.
I am going to have you throw some of this is all-purpose flour. You can also use this to make bread. Just know that you're going to work it less if you use all-purpose or self-rising, because there's not as much gluten, and you'll stretch the gluten too far, which is what I'm doing right now, where I'm
So I'm going
kneading
to
it.
sprinkle. Is it too much? Good.
Nope. And I'm gonna do a little. Now this is what like a pastry chef will tell you need to do. They'll do it on TV. They're lying to you because you want your table completely covered. Because any part that doesn't have flour is gonna stick to your dough. And we need just that little bit more of dough to come in here. So this is called turning your dough out. And I just kind of sprinkle the rest on here. And we're going to use this bowl here again in a minute. So I'm going to scrape all that out. Now, if you want to throw some flour on your hands, that actually will help you a little better. But see how my hands come in a little cleaner than you thought it would? I thought it was going to be gross and gunky forever. It's not. Can you feel it's still warm too?
Oh, it is.
Dough feels lovely.
It's very relaxing.
Yes. So our high gluten dough we're going to need for longer. Because we need to stretch the gluten in it, we need to activate it, we need to, yeah, that was probably a good idea. I don't wear jewelry because I don't at work, so I'm just used to not doing it. But yeah, so when we're kneading, we're going to fold in half. I'll let you do it here in just a second.
Okay.
But we'll fold in half and then we push it in. Notice how, have you seen the people who are, oh, yes.
that's unnecessary, and that's just for show, because you're not even really using your full body weight to do it, and you're just stretching and pushing. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to give you my dough as I pull it. You can go ahead and...
So I fold it over and then stretch.
What I
this
do,
way?
so I go, you can do it one-handed too.
Okay.
Fold, push, and you're stretching as you drag it back.
Okay.
So you're kind of, or pushing it back. It's a push and pull kind of thing. Yeah. But since I'm using a self-rising flour, we don't need to knead quite as much, but we're still going to need to knead for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And it,
Okay, so we've been kneading for a while.
see how our dough's changed a little bit here?
It's much more like a solid thing instead of
It's still
something we're
kind of
working.
breaking apart when we stretch it, so it's not quite there yet. See, we don't want it to do that. So, a nice way to let gravity do it, and this is where you can get your anger out too.
Oh.
Yes, so instead of taking it out on the dough by kneading it too hard, just take gravity
Ooh.
to throw it. Again, messy, that's why I get messy.
Right.
And then I'll let Miss Hannah throw the dough.
I want to throw the dough. All right. Ugh, that wasn't very good.
It's all right,
I
you
need
can
to do
it
more.
harder. Yeah.
Okay. Ha!
There you go. When I throw it, I want to make it at least half longer than it was. That's kind of the force
that's
that
the
I
goal?
use. That's what I do. I
right,
mean, I don't know
right.
if that's like an official thing. There you go.
That part's super fun.
This is about perfect. And we're going to let it rest again. So here's our bowl that we made all cruddy. Let me grab the oil. And then just throw a dollop of our oil in here. We don't have to measure this. This is in the recipe that you'll get. It says oil for greasing the pans and the bowls. This is what I mean. You just kind of throw it in here, grease it up. Now my ball of dough, I'm going to kind of stretch the top so it's smoother. You see what's happening there? And then pinch the back, and then I'm going to kind of oil the top. Oil the sides. This is so our dough doesn't stick to anything while it's being a friend. And we'll cover this with plastic.
Okay.
And then it says to keep in a warm place. So in my house, the warmest place is the top of the fridge. Because if you think about it, there's nothing really going on up there. So, or it could be in the window in direct sunlight. That might be a good place if it's not quite as humid. But now, so we're going to let it rest and rise, and we want it to get double this size before we touch it again. So we're going to put ours in the warmer here, or it'll make things go. See, I'm sweating just a little bit, not a lot. I'm not dripping. But so we'll make it tight because we don't want air to get in there because the air will make a dry crust on it. And a sandwich bread is soft when we eat it. It doesn't have like a crunchy baguette or sourdough feel. So we want to make sure that we keep air off of it for this time being.
Right.
And so now this is where we say 2 hours from now, we'll check again, but it'll be about an hour for us because we're going to use a warmer. We're going to cheat a little bit. You can use your oven also to warm. Put it about 100, set it for that, and you can make, it wouldn't be a plastic bowl if we did that. And you can put it in there and it works like a warmer because a warmer, I usually put it about 98 to 100 degrees anyway. So the oven is a good place to also, if you're in a hurry, because that's why people think that bread is hard, because people want to get it done now and bread takes its own time.
We have to be patient.
We do. It's hard. It's really hard to be patient. I actually don't like making bread because of being patient. So.
All right, so we're going to put this in to rise,
Yes.
and then we'll check back in just a minute.
Yes, we will. This is our bread that I made yesterday, and I have it sealed off. This is press and seal. I like it the best because the thing to note about homemade bread is there's no preservatives in it. So if you're not going to use it within 2 days of making it, you need to airtight seal it and then freeze it or refrigerate it. So this cuts much better the next day because fresh bread has a tougher crust and it's not always cool inside. Sorry, this is loud stuff. And it's not always cool inside, but feel it's very soft. It has a different feeling than our bread fresh out of the oven.
Very nice.
It's a little crunchier crust. So I like to use a knife that has a lot more serrated points in it.
And this is a good point to bring up that you should not be using a knife without your parents' help in the kitchen.
True
okay?
story. Don't be like us last year and get cut. So this one we're gonna cut from the short end to the short end because we're gonna make slices of bread. So I always cut the end off. I need to cut a little bit more of the end off. Is that pretty sweet? This recipe has a lot of sugar in it because I like sweet bread, but as you can see, we've got some nice, it's a little dense because it's a sandwich bread. You want it to hold together because nobody likes to put jelly on a piece of bread with a big hole in it.
Yes.
So then it seeps through.
That is delicious.
Thanks.
I'm just going to have a little bit more while you continue cutting.
My sandwich bread, I like to do a slice that is about 1/4 of an inch, I would say. 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. You can go bigger. I just like to get a few more pieces of bread out of this. But see how easy this knife is going through? If I had cut this yesterday when I baked it and it was still a little warm, it was still a little crunchy on top, then I would be having to crunch and saw through and it would smash and tear this bread. This way, it's almost like cutting through butter, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of awesome.
I kind of wish I had some of that chicken salad from Myers Market right now to eat with
Yes.
bread.
This is also really good toasted. I like it holds up in the toaster very well. I like it.
But a sign of good bread is when it's good all by itself, and this is really good.
I'm not somebody
by
who
itself.
butters my bread either. Okay, so for my friends from Camp Discovery, I'm getting to the end of my bread where my knife is getting dangerously close to my hand. So when you're with your family, for those who don't know, we call it the paw method. So your hand's gonna stay like this, so the knife only ever touches this part of our hand and not chopping our fingers off.
Always a good thing
Yes.
to not chop our fingers off.
So now that I'm holding it, as you can see, I'm holding it. Earlier I was holding this way. Now I'm holding this way, and my fingers can sink into this bread a little bit. I don't know if anyone can notice. I like to go diagonal on the bottom here for some reason. I don't know what it is. Can you tell that I cut bread a lot at work? This is kind of what I'm used to doing. We'll get one more out of this bad boy. And then, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. Oh, I got an even number. 14 slices. So we got
that's good.
7 sandwiches out of this loaf.
Nice.
So I usually get about 6 to 7, so that's good. So, I mean, as you can see, this bread is kind of dense. Now, I know this bread doesn't look as tall as it does in the store, right? It's a little shorter. I probably could have let this rise a little bit longer. I wasn't as patient yesterday. So I put it, and it was also a little later. It was like 8:30 last night. I wanted to go to bed. I go to bed very early. So I want, this is good. This will be just fine. It's a good piece of bread. But had I let it go a little bit longer, you could see how it is today where it's puffed up just a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I highly recommend this, and I can't wait to hear how you do making bread at home
Yes.
with your family.
Yes, and try different kinds. There's whole wheat bread, there's honey wheat. Give it a go. Once you master white bread, you can do anything.
All right. Well, get baking.
Yes.
Wow, friends, what a fun day we've had learning to bake bread and visiting Myers Market. I don't know about you, but I love how food brings people together, and I hope that you use food to shine your light this week. For this little light of mine, here's the challenge I have for you. You're gonna bake loaves of bread. Maybe you bake lots of loaves of bread, and I want you to share them. Maybe you can share them with the GCC food pantry, or maybe you can share them with a neighbor or a friend, but take them a loaf of freshly baked bread. What a nice gift and a treat for someone. You could also use your bread to make a whole meal. Maybe you go to Myers and buy meat or chicken salad and make sandwiches, or you use that as a side for a meal that you make for someone. But I hope that you'll look for a way that you can let your light shine by sharing the gift of food with someone, because that's extra special. All right, friends, it's chill time. This is our opportunity to be still and quiet and to listen to what God wants us to remember today and what He wants to talk to us about today. So I want you to close your eyes up tight and use your imagination. Maybe you're going to go to a garden and sit and talk with Jesus, or maybe you're going to be in the kitchen cooking with Jesus or sitting down at a table with Him. You can go wherever you want with your imagination. I want you to ask Jesus this question: what am I supposed to remember from today's show? What is it that I'm supposed to remember in my heart and in my head from today's show? Now I want you to ask Jesus, what am I supposed to do to shine your light this week? How are you going to shine your light for Jesus this week? Maybe you'll use some of the ideas I shared, or maybe you'll come up with your own great creative idea. I want to read to you a verse from James chapter 2. It's in the New Testament. And it talks about faith and deeds. So our faith is how we believe in Jesus and what we believe about Jesus. Our deeds are the things that we do. And this verse talks about the importance of those two things working together. So it says, "What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to him, 'Go, I wish you well, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about his physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." So that verse is saying that if we just tell someone that God loves them, but we don't do anything to show them that, to help meet their needs, then our faith doesn't really mean anything to them. And so the beautiful thing about being a part of the church is that you get the opportunity to bless other people, and sometimes other people will bless you. And that's the beautiful thing of how we all work together to show God's love to one another, but also to those who don't believe yet. And most importantly, I want everyone to know and to never forget that God loves you and that He is always with you. So look for ways that you can shine that light and share that message with others this week.